So I heard a lot of the initial reviews of people I trust out there on the movie Black Adam, and the general consensus was it was okay. And so I said, well, I'm almost up for an okay movie. I'd almost like to see this in the theater. However, my wife very much did not want to see this in the theater, so it's no longer in the theater and it's not quite at the streaming stage. So I went out to Blockbuster and checked it out. So I will basically voice or mimic what most of the other reviewers I heard said. It's okay. It's a decent little movie. Not the most fantastic thing in the world, but decent. For the most part, I won't be getting into any spoilers in this. Uh, it's definitely worth a watch. Just give you a little background on how I've been looking at the old superhero movies as of late. I have been very, very disinterested. There's actually very little of it I've been watching. I'll hear something get super hyped, I'll watch it and go, okay, well, that's just, it's not anywhere, it's not worth my effort. I watched WandaVision, and for about 2 episodes, I was intrigued, thinking, oh, maybe they've come up with something unique and interesting here. And it turns out it like died in a horrible ball of flames by the time it got down to the end. Actually, by the time it got to the end of the third episode. Um, I watched Peacemaker, based on Critical Drinker's recommendation, and I mean, it had a few moments here and there, but boy, I really felt like I wasted my time watching it. It wasn't that good. Uh, his character was tolerable, and everybody else was. They just didn't know how to run that. It was not a particularly, other than a few moments, wasn't worth watching. And really, to be honest, that's about all I've watched for superhero stuff in probably the last 3, 4 years. And so dragging myself to watch this, it took a lot of people saying the same things to get me motivated enough to watch it. And so I was pleasantly surprised that I found this interesting. Now, this is a movie where, at least for me, watching it once is pretty good, and I probably won't ever watch it again. I mean, yeah, it's okay. It's not fantastic. What I would say about the movie in general, the if you know nothing about it, because this is one of the okay, I'm oblivious to virtually every character who's been in there. I'm not deeply steeped in comic book knowledge, so essentially, Black Adam is one of the variants of Shazam, and that I know. Like, again, there's several of them. So he's got his own little origin story, but not as lighthearted as the other movie Shazam, which I did not see. Maybe I'll check it out now. I don't know. But so essentially, you've got a character who is Superman esque, uh, pretty powerful, uh, but not quite as annoying. His character, just because of his origins, is darker, which makes him more intriguing. He doesn't have a moral compass. He's not outright evil, but he, in all honesty, it's actually better writing than maybe they even intended. He has the moral compass of someone who was around 5,000 years ago. And so it's an interesting character. It's fun to watch the character do his thing and develop. The early part of the movie is a little bit of a slog. About the first 10-15 minutes, they're essentially giving you his backstory, and it's done in the form of exposition, essentially narrated over a very rapid uh, play of how things went out. And looking at that, his backstory is almost interesting enough that I could have watched it as its own movie. They may have blown kind of an opportunity there. Watching that develop could have been a really good story all on its own. So in its exposition form, though, it's a bit of a slog. And then when Dwayne Johnson actually enters the movie, he just dominates it and takes it over. Really, he does a good job. He makes this character very real and believable. He's not a highly emotive character, so probably plays in well to the actor's strengths. He ends up interacting with essentially what I'm assuming is a D-list of DC superheroes. Again, most of them I'm oblivious to. And initially they're a little bit irritating, but you need them to be the way they are to set up the contrast between them and Black Adam. Uh, Probably most critical to understanding, it is absolutely not woke in any way that I can see. Uh, they've actually managed to tell a story set in a country of people who are not European without making it a thing. It's just the story. These are the people. They're people with that. That's all they are, is people. They don't make it a thing. There is no message they're trying to deliver. They're just basically trying to tell this guy's story. When you get into the bad guy, my only issue there is I wish there would have been a little bit more backstory on how his, I guess, mentors came to be, because you're suddenly kind of thrust into it where it's like, aha, here are the counterparts to the good guys who created Shazam, and here they are, and you don't really have any backstory about them other than they're the evil mirror image, and boom. It might have been interesting to see maybe another 10 minutes of them getting some background, getting a feel for who they are and everything. Pierce Bronson was a very good add to this. His character, and it takes a little while to get. It's I can't even remember what they're called. They're the Justice Association, so like D-list Justice League. Um, Pierce Brosnan's character initially is kind of dry, where you're like, I don't really know about this. But they develop him relatively quickly and do good things with him. And he really fills out his role well. Um, he is good in terms of the character and the intellect about him, but also his powers are pretty interesting as well. And I guess talking a little bit about the fight scenes without getting into much, I found them a lot easier to follow and enjoy than what I've been seeing out of the MCU lately. Uh, Even though like Black Adam is ultra super powerful, uh, you're still able to knock him around, just not to a particularly interesting effect. And the other Justice Group's characters do eventually kind of grow into their roles. And again, you'll find it's Hawkman will annoy the crap out of you initially, and I think it's meant to be that way because if you liked him right away, you would probably have a harder time liking Black Adam. If you hate Hawkman right away, Black Adam is somebody you can kind of go, okay, yeah, he is likable in his own way. And then the characters all kind of build up and do their thing. Um, the end is decent. I mean, it resolves itself in a way that you can be generally happy about. The ending is makes you're content with the ending. You're going, okay, that's not bad. They do have a little bonus scene worth watching. They set up the potential uh, for sequels to this. I'm not sure where they can go with sequels because I've never read the comic book, but I think the character is interesting enough that DC would be stupid not to try it out in another movie. It's just unfortunate, I think, timing and everything else that this movie came out that people didn't know what it was going to be and what they were going to get out of it. All right. Well, uh, if you're thinking about watching Black Adam, comment below. If you've seen it, definitely comment below. I'd really like to hear your takes on it. Do you agree with some of my assessments? Do you have a different take on what I saw? Uh, if you hated it, tell me why you hated it. And if you loved it, tell me why it's just more than okay, like I think it is. Please smash the like button. If you're somebody out there who probably would have some interest in Black Adam, consider sharing this with them. And please do subscribe to my channel, helps me out. Thanks for spending time with me this evening. Hope to see you again in a future video.